It's time for this week's episode of Brandon Sports Talk, featuring in-depth interviews from those who are trending in the world of athletics. And now, here's the host of Brandon Sports Talk, Brandon Pate.
Welcome back to Brandon Sports Talk. In today's episode, I have the privilege to interview the Uconn baseball pitching coach Joshua MacDonald. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great, Brandon. How you doing?
I'm doing good. Can you talk about how you got started in college coaching?
Yeah. And actually, I kind of had an idea when I was playing that it looks like I probably wasn't going to be a professional baseball player, because I don't know. You're looking around you and you're starting to realize, well, this guy's better than me. This guy's better than me. Maybe I'm not cut up for it. But I did really like being around it, obviously. So after college, I spent the summer kind of looking for jobs. I was offered a job actually originally at a place called Utica College in upstate New York, a D3 program. And I was a finalist for a job at Long Island University in a Division I program in Brooklyn, New York. I take I don't get the job at LIU. I take the job at Utica. I'm at Utica for like 2 months, and I get a phone call from the head coach at LIU, Don Main, saying that the guy that they hired over me was not going to work out. I don't know what happened there. And I know that Don really liked me. Actually, when he interviewed me and told me I wasn't going to get the job, he said, I think you're probably did the best interview of any of the guys that we had. But I think you're kind of young. So when he brought me, when he brought me for the interview in November, it was just like, yeah, let's do it. It stunk because I didn't want to leave. I mean, I was just at my first job at Utica and I felt like I was already burning a bridge, but talking to some of the coaches that I knew, they said, try to get into Division I. You can always go back to D3. That's not that difficult, but there is a sort of a stigma that comes, with Division III going to Division I and not vice versa. So it was really just one of those situations where I did it so I wouldn't, hurt myself later if I wanted to continue doing this. And that's how it happened.
That's amazing. A source I saw that you got drafted to the Colorado Rockies. Can you talk about that time?
I actually got drafted by the Pirates, not the Rockies, out of high school. I got drafted out of high school. We kind of not intense negotiations at all. I wasn't a high pick. I was drafted in a round that I don't even think exists anymore with the new draft rules. But they did come to some of the things I was doing in the summer, and they did have me kind of go out and pitch for their AA coach in Norwich, Connecticut. They were playing out the Altoona Curve were playing out there, so I pitched for them there. And what they were offering at the time just wasn't enough to really walk away from a college education. And to be honest with you, I thought that I had a really nice jump between my high school April to my high school June. I thought I got a lot better in June. And I kept thinking to myself, well, if I have that sort of progression in college, I'm going to make a lot more money and I'm going to be a lot more valuable to an organization, maybe as a top 5 rounder instead of being drafted in the 40s. And unfortunately, I just got hurt when I got to college. And like I said, I started to look around, when I was, 22 years old, and I said, I don't think I'm better than the guys to my left and my right anymore. So yeah, I took a gamble on it, but again, I think it ended up for the best.
Can you talk about, of course, playing at your alma mater and then coming back and coaching there?
Yeah. When I originally signed with Uconn, to be honest, I've told people this. It was because it was close to home. my father passed away when I was in high school. My sister was still at home. So a lot of that, that weighed on it. It wasn't, those were the real decisions. They were one of the better schools. They were probably the best school recruiting me. But at the time, it had more to do with family decisions, and I didn't have a great sense of the history of the program. Like I didn't know Charles Nagy went here, and that Coach Baylock was, Team USA pitching coach, really until after I kind of decided to commit here. But what was really neat was, it was when I got here, I was able to really represent my home state. And I think for a lot of kids, when they pick a school, I don't think they always understand how cool that is, because you're kind of always, playing for the home team, and the best part about coming here is that I got to be on Coach Pender's first teams. Coach Baylock retires my second year. Coach Pender's, our assistant, becomes the head coach. And from there on, they've really taken what Coach Baylock did, and they've built on it tremendously. So to be here now, there's a huge sense of pride that comes along with coaching here now, because not only is obviously am I coaching for my home state, am I coaching for my hometown university, but I'm also, coaching for the place where I played at. So I don't want to be the guy that sinks his ship. So that does go through, our mind a lot in terms of, when we're working, when we're recruiting players, we don't want to be the guy that messes it up.
That's so amazing. Can you talk about, of course, your time coaching with the Cape Cod League?
Yeah. So right after LIU, I finished up my graduate assistant degree. There was some talk when I was there that they may make it a full-time assistant job. That didn't come to fruition. So I kind of had to go find a job. I was going to be a teacher at a boarding school, St. Thomas More. I did that for 2 years. But I still wanted to coach. I really like coaching. So one of the guys that recruited me at the University of Hartford, Harvey Shapiro, was then the head coach and still is the head coach of the Bourne Braves. He reached out to me and asked me if I would interview. So I did. I went on an interview with him. I went there for 2 summers. We won it my first year there. And it was great. It was a really cool opportunity because at LIU, they were really building the program from the ground up. When you got to the Cape, you got to really coach some of the, top premier players in the country. So it was nice. It was a really cool experience. And I've told everybody, from a baseball experience, from a baseball job, there's not really a better job than coaching the Cape in the summer. You're coaching really good players. You're playing, 3:00 games. You're home by dinner time. There's no super travel. You can go to the beach in the morning. I mean, and if anybody's ever been to Cape Cod, it's a really nice place to spend the summer anyway. So yeah, it was a great experience.
What have you accomplished so far as the pitching coach?
Accomplished. I don't know if I've accomplished much. I think some of our teams have done okay. We've been to the NCAA tournament. Let's see, we got there in 13. Well, since I've been here, we've been there in 13, 16, 18, 19. We have 2 conference championships since I've been back. I think we've had 6 All-Americans on the mound. Maybe, yeah, 6 All-Americans, a bunch of guys drafted. But like I said, I think a lot of it, I've been able to develop some pretty good relationships with some really good people. The guys that are on our team are good kids. And like I said, we've been able to stay competitive every year that I've been here, which to me is not easy. And it's probably the thing that I'm most proud of, is that if you come watch a Uconn baseball game, you're probably going to see a halfway decent team on the field that plays the game the right way and represents the university the right way. So that would be the thing in some way, if I accomplished anything, that's the thing that I'm probably most proud of.
Of course, as pitchers go into the major leagues, can you talk about how you feel whenever they get drafted that first night?
The drafted night is obviously it's nice. It's kind of a they're getting, it's affirming what you thought you saw. You thought, hey, this guy has a chance at being a professional player, and now they're gonna be. But knowing how professional baseball is, that really their journey is now just starting. They're having a chance at it, but that it's long. It's not going to be easy for them to get up there, and there's going to be some hurdles for those guys. So draft night's cool. I like following them. I think that the neatest thing that I have now, and technology and things like that, we have a group chat, with all of the pitchers who are in the pros from Uconn, and they kind of, these guys have not all played with each other at Uconn, but they all kind of share messages with each other. They've been able to kind of give each other advice, things like that. So that to me has been really cool. That's probably been one of the more unique things that we have going on. But I think the cool, I've gotten to hear that, Anthony Kay and Scott Oberg, two guys I coached here, were being called up to the bigs. And that was really, really special. I've gotten to see Scott Oberg pitch in a big league game, and that's really cool. And I think that's really one of the more special days. Now with the MLB Network, when Anthony Kay was pitching for the Blue Jays last summer, I think I saw probably 75% of the games they pitched in. And it's funny because, I still feel like his coach. I'm living and dying every pitch, so that's pretty neat. That's really cool.
That's so amazing. Can you talk about the culture that you have helped build at Uconn?
Yeah, I think it's really an extension of the culture that Coach Pender's really instilled in us from the first day that he took over. He talks about this acronym ACE: attitude, concentration, effort, the three things that you can control. You can't control the outcome. You can't control those things, but you can control your attitude, your concentration, your effort, and you want to bring your best in all three. And if we're not bringing our best, then we're not doing the service that we need to for our guys. I think the one thing that we try to do is, because it's our alma mater, because it's our home, we want to represent the right way. We want to bring in the right kids. We want to instill those values in them. We want to make them more responsible, than when they came in. And that's really what we do. And hopefully in the meantime, we make them better baseball players and better winners. I mean, that, that's what keeps the lights on, so we got to do those sorts of things. But again, we want to represent the university and the state as a whole the best we can.
What is a typical day for a game day at Uconn and some of the traditions y'all have?
Yeah, well, we have a brand new park now, Elliott Ballpark, which has changed a lot. I think some of the old traditions would have been a tarp pool. We no longer have to worry about that. It's an all-turf field. It's a stadium. It's beautiful. So really, I think a typical day is just these guys, like today we play at 3:00. But these guys will wake up, do school, grab a bite to eat, come on down, get changed. They'll go hit their BP. After BP, they'll go into, a hitters meeting to see kind of what the pitchers are on the staff are going to probably do to them or try to do to them. Then we come back and out, stretch, IO, boom, go play the game. So it's great. There's not a lot of things that they have to worry about anymore in terms of prepping the field and things like that, which is nice. It's definitely something that makes their job a little bit easier. I think for the coaching staff, typically, we're scouting a day or two before, the night before, we're collecting our notes. We're kind of going over, game strategies, things that we would like to see here or there, or hopefully the way the game plays out. But once the game happens, it's weird. It never seems to play out exactly the way you want it. So, a lot of times you spend a lot of times talking about nothing because the game will change once it starts.
Who are some of the teams that you play in your conference?
Our conference, the Big East Conference that we are now in, is our first year back in it. We were in the AAC, but now that we've been back, it is Villanova, Butler, Seton Hall, St. John's, Creighton, Georgetown. I'm missing one. I'm missing the eighth one. It'll come to me. Oh, Xavier. So those are the teams that we play, and it's a good league. It's a more centralized, low-K league besides Creighton, and we get to renew some of these rivalries. With Seton Hall, St. John's, Nova, some of the ones that we had, pretty good ones before we went to the AAC.
What are some things that have changed now due to COVID?
I guess the biggest thing that has changed now is that it's sort of frowned upon our guys kind of being able to just be around each other in large groups. That's kind of the best thing about being on a team, especially a team like baseball that has almost 40 guys, is that these guys kind of, as a freshman or your first day on campus, you're kind of immediately in, your own little fraternity, right? Here are the guys, and you kind of do everything with them, outside of going to class maybe with them. But even then, I guarantee you these guys have a lot of classes together. But, you go to school with them, you work out, you practice together, you play games, and then, afterwards you socialize with them, you live with them. So I think that would probably be the biggest thing. The other challenges that come along with it are some of the, the ticky-tacky sort of precautions that you take, the mask, the separating them, making sure there's not too many guys in certain areas. So those are all things that are kind of annoying. But the good thing is that, when they're playing, baseball being a naturally distanced sport, you don't have to worry about if your right fielder got it, during the game, did he just infect your entire team? So that's the only good part about it as well, is that, because our sport's outdoors and, the guys are naturally distanced during the game, it's not too much of a headache that way.
What does the recruitment process look like for prospective student athletes looking to play baseball?
It's kind of different for each guy, but we're looking for obviously, high talented players. I think over 80% of our roster is from a 2.5 hour drive of campus. So, very, more local talent in baseball than I think probably in other sports. And we're looking at obviously high talent, I said, and then kids with decent grades. You don't want to bring in kids that can't handle the academic load. We're a top 25 public university, and the last one, we want competitive kids, and we want competitive kids not just for when we're playing games that they're competitive, against other opponents. That's obviously a plus, but really we want competitive kids, because competitive kids bring an edge to practice. You want guys that are willing to push the guys in front or behind them to get better. And if you bring in kids that maybe are just talented and don't really have that competitive gene to them, it doesn't help the rest of the team. We feel like we've gotten a lot better because our depth is pretty good, and there's constantly, for the guy who's playing, there's constantly a reminder that the guy behind you on the bench is pretty good and wants your job. So those would really be the three things, talent, grades, competitiveness.
That's amazing. What does the official visit look like for baseball?
An official visit, which we haven't been able to do because of COVID, but typically what it would be is that we would schedule it typically around either a football or basketball weekend, depending on where it would start. We would schedule it around one of our fall either scrimmages or practices. So the guys would come in a lot of times on a Friday, watch a scrimmage, go hang out with their host Friday night. In the morning, we go do like a early tailgate at one of the football games, hang out with their families, let them get to know us a little bit. After the game, we kind of bring them back in, and then they kind of disperse, and that's really what it's about. The big thing with our official visits is for them to be around the guys, see the guys, and kind of confirm that, oh yeah, these guys are just like me. These are kids that are similar to me. And since I've been here, we haven't had an issue, but if a red flag were to pop up, like, hey, I don't know if this guy is a guy for us, or hey, we're gonna have issues with this guy, then that's the other reasons that our guys get to see them and make sure that we're trying to bring in guys that are here for the right reasons.
Do they get to try on the jerseys and see the jerseys on the official visit?
No, we haven't gotten into that yet. Maybe at some point. No, we haven't. There's guys that we recruit that will end up getting drafted and never play here. They get drafted out of high school. So I don't know. I feel like you should be putting that game jersey on for the first time when you're taking the field for us. I think that's a special moment. I know these guys like to do it for Instagram and TikTok and all that stuff. So maybe, I don't know, maybe I sound like an old surly guy right now. Maybe eventually that'll change, but right now it's no, we don't do that yet.
What advice would you give upcoming future high school athletes looking to play college baseball?
Worry about winning. Don't worry about your individual accolades and things like that. If you're a really good player and you tend to win more often than you lose, and you tend to be more successful on winning teams, you're noticed. It's no secret that a lot of our guys have been on state championship teams or conference championship teams, because those are the games that we're going to. Those are the games where there's a lot on the line. We want to see guys that are good in those situations. It doesn't mean that we won't have a kid that's not from one of those teams. But it's like we said, if you're really, really, really good, you don't have to worry about being noticed. You tend to get noticed. Very rarely in this age of video and the internet and technology and how easy it is to communicate, do kids get overlooked. So for us, is if you can focus on winning and helping your team win, then the rest should take care of itself.
What advice would you give college coaches looking to get into the industry?
Be okay with being poor for the first 5 to 10 years. I think the hardest thing for guys that want to go into coaching is that you're going to enter at pretty much a internship level, and you're expected to be at that internship level for a few years. Very rarely do guys get in and all of a sudden they get a job where they feel like they can afford feeding a family right away. So because of that, a lot of guys that graduate, they'll see their buddies, with new cars and buying houses. And, these guys maybe, living in apartments with 3 other people still, on the wrong side of the tracks, possibly just to get by. That's a very normal thing. But what I would say to them too, is that if you can get through those early years, those dark years, from a financial standpoint, we work in the toy department of life. Really, if you think about it, my job is to go to this game this afternoon and help these young guys win. It's a really rewarding job. It's a really fun job. I love this sport. I've loved it since I was 5 years old. So, that's what I do every day. I don't have to worry about, making sure that the tax sheets are in, or making sure that, that the project deadlines are done. I have to worry about this program and worry about it every single day. It can be a headache at times, but I much rather worry about having to find a shortstop this summer than having to worry about why quarter sales are down or something like that. So that's what I would tell them.
That's great advice. Where can my listeners find you at on social media along with the Uconn baseball program at?
Well, you're not going to really find me on social media, but you can find all of our stuff on. We have Uconn, Uconn at Uconn BSB is our Twitter handle. Uconn Baseball's on Facebook, on Instagram. You can follow all the stuff on UconnHuskies.com. We stream all of our game on this thing called Husky Vision. So, I mean, there's a million ways to keep in touch with Huskies. There's also, you can reach out to us as well. We all have emails, and we get back to kids as quickly as possible, NCAA rules permitting. So, that's about it.
Thank you again, Coach Josh, for your interview, and best of luck in your upcoming future and this upcoming season.
Thank you very much, Brandon. Thanks for having me.
You're welcome. You can find Brandon Sports Talk on Facebook at Brandon Sports Talk, Instagram at Brandon Sports Talk, Twitter at Talk_Brandon, and you can find me on YouTube at Brandon Sports Talk. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Thank you again, Coach Josh, for your interview, and best of luck.
Thank you.
You've been watching Brandon Sports Talk. Please feel free to like, share, and subscribe to Brandon Sports Talk on social media and on YouTube.